Hello, Linda here. It's time for another tutorial. This is the beginner tutorial, or if you've been playing for a while and I don't know, you just want a refresher of some beginner things. These are things that I try and focus on that help me feel more comfortable with my instrument. There is no right or wrong way to strum or hold an ukulele, but sometimes when I'm teaching a beginner class, I'll suggest something and somebody will say, oh, that feels different, that feels better to me. So if you're a beginner and you're struggling with something doesn't feel right, here's some ideas of things you can try, I guess, to see if it feels better or worse to you. I am not a music teacher, I am not an expert. I'm just gonna tell you what works for me. So I'm not going to use my strap today because I think sometimes we too quickly get straps and we become dependent on straps and we forget that this is an instrument that's designed to be held without a strap. So it's kind of good practice not to use a strap all the time. So the way we hold the ukulele, have your arm hugging it tight to your body, right? So hold it by where the neck meets the body and bring it towards your body. Right, so your arm is already in that position there. So it's not right in the crook of my elbow, it's not up on my arm. It's in a couple of inches. Naturally, my hand falls to that place where I'm going to be strumming. So you're going to be strumming in that space where the fretboard overlaps the body. So the body stops there, the fretboard stops there. So in that space between where they overlap, that's where you're going to be strumming. So make sure you can easily access that part of the ukulele. So hold it close. When you hold the ukulele, maybe 80–90% of your support of it comes from holding it close to your body. By the way, if you have fabric on your arms, if you have long sleeves, it's gonna slip and slide and slip and slide. So if you don't have a strap yet, try rolling up your sleeve or wearing something short-sleeved. It often gets really warm in the jams anyway, for me, all right. So when you hold it like this, naturally, it's pointing a little bit farther away from your body, this end. It's angled out a little bit, and that's okay. That's okay, that's just natural. If you were gonna hold it like horizontally perpendicular to your body, that would be awkward for the shoulder. So we want to keep this part close to our body and this part's going to point out a little bit. That's all right. I think for me, about a 10 o'clock angle works really well. So we don't want it up like this and we don't want it down at 9 o'clock. Why that works for me is because it gives me, when I have my thumb firmly anchored at the back of the neck, in the middle at the back of the neck. If I have my ukulele too low, then I don't have enough room for my hand to come around, I find. It gives me more flexibility in the way I can make chord shapes if I have it up here. So, okay. So, one thing that I find important is to not have too much tension in my hands. Anything is difficult if there's tension in your body. Anything you do with your body, even breathing, is difficult if there's tension in your body. So lots of times I'll just remind myself, like, light to the touch, like let your shoulders be soft and relaxed, and don't squeeze too tight down on those frets. I have Mark Anderson's voice in my head a lot saying that. Are you pressing too tight? Are you pressing too tight? I tended to press way too tight when I was a beginner. And I probably tended to keep tension in my right hand too, in my strumming hand. If I'm nice and relaxed, then the strums come from a flick of the wrist. That's the other thing that holding an ukulele like this without a strap forces us to do, is learn how to strum economically, nice and tight, with a little flick of the wrist instead of a whole arm movement. You don't have to use all that energy and move your whole arm. You can get a nice even nice even stroke by keeping your hand nice and close to the ukulele. All right, so 10 o'clock, thumb, light. How do I strum? Okay, what do? I don't strum with my thumb. I do sometimes if I want to do a gliss, I'll do that with my thumb. I don't find it easy to strum with my thumb. I don't find it easy to keep my thumb at an angle where I can get a nice even strum, but some people do. Some people it works better for. Whatever works for you is fine. This is the way I do it, is I use my index finger. I like a soft sound. I think that's why some people strum with their thumb, is they want that soft sound, that fleshy sound. I get that by using my index finger, but I don't use the nail, so I'm not pointing my nail. I point this is the shape of my hand when I'm strumming. I point it towards me, and I cut my nail really short so that the end of my finger is fleshy. If I want to do so if I'm doing something like, I'll use my second finger where I have nail grown, or you can shift your finger and do. You can get a different sound if you turn your finger and use your nail, but I like the soft sound. So point your finger towards you, like I'm making an L shape with my finger, and I'm pointing it towards me. And I think when you're a beginner, it's a good idea to do a lot of practice, just doing that, just getting the shape a way that feels comfortable for you, and making chord changes and going back and forth. The basics, you can't spend too much time on the basics, and then everything else is easier. The other thing about strumming with my index finger is that it easily allows me, I'm already in the position, if I want to do some picking, where I can do that easily. If I'm strumming with my thumb, then it's more awkward for me to switch to picking. But do what works for you, and I'll see you at a jam.